actually get. Oh, it was about the cow. He said it should actually be a red cow, and that they often let these black cows into the mix, and it's not a real Wagyu. You might have to edit that one. I don't even know what I was saying. Because he told me. He told me that, and it didn't even dawn on me what he said until I said it.
You gotta leave it in there. It's great. You're literally talking about cows. Somebody's gonna be pissed about it, though. Do you believe in magic or the power to choose if it's jug band music or rhythm and blues? Oh, it's magic. Shooby-dooby-doo, wop-bop-bop, the Refined Life Podcast. Hey!
Who do we have here?
Today we have Jared Blake, Jeff Suter, and the one and only, The Rock has come back. I'm just kidding. He's not come back at all. And Big Vinny's here. So instead of The Rock, you get Big Vinny. You were going to get Big Rock. Now you're getting Big Vinny. That's what you get for this episode. We were just having a conversation about The Rock and our favorite Rock moments. My favorite Rock moment, since nobody asked me, have to let y'all know, my favorite Rock moment was Black Adam. You know why?
No.
Because The Rock has become so famous.
Oh, I love that part.
That
we
he's
did talk about this.
Yeah, he's more famous than the
Black
comic
Adam.
book character that he was playing. So it was impossible for people to see him as a comic book character because
why is The Rock being so mean?
Unless he's Superman, what comic book character is more famous than The Rock?
It's a good point.
He just needs to make a superhero about him being a superhero, but that would be every action movie he's done.
Yeah.
Which Central Intelligence, if you haven't watched Central Intelligence, it's hilarious, okay?
Is it about AI?
It's about CIA. It's him and Kevin Hart, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's really good.
CIA, is that one word, two words?
CIA, welcome to the Refined Life Podcast. Anyways, I don't have a clue what we're talking about this time. Does anybody want to clue me in?
Well, we had briefly talked about this before, and so I'm going to start this off with...
He's pissed.
Jason Aldean's new song is still at the top of the charts. Just saying. That hasn't changed since the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
And I'm blown away with, like, what he's saying there, right? And I'm probably going to get in all sorts of trouble, but I hope I get in trouble for this because we'll be way more famous.
I'll down that sword.
Right?
Yeah.
You're down that sword?
Yeah.
Is that a... Okay. Anyway, so...
you down your own sword? Ain't that the
die
thing?
on it.
Yeah, what I
thought you said down it. And
I have seen sword swallowers.
All right, so anyway, I came from a small town. You came from a small town. You small town?
Nashville.
Nashville
was small. Was small.
So the reality is that it didn't. Growing up, we could dislike each other in town.
Yeah.
But one thing was for sure, like it didn't matter. Black, white, Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, if you came from outside of our town and came in and caused any trouble with any of us, all of us were like, you can take that up with me. Like all of us stood together. I think in a small town, you very much felt like the world was kind of against you already because you were small town and they in all honesty, media and everything else kind of talked crap about the small towns.
Yeah.
They act like you're stupid. They act like you don't know anything, And so I understood where he was going with that. And where that got taken is just a prime example of where we're at in the world right now. I mean, even our Christians edit the Bible. Like we take certain passages out and we just go, well, I just don't think that that's what it meant. Like, well, I mean, I don't understand this theory at all because if I had the right to edit the Bible, I feel like, doesn't that make me God? And am I just answering to myself then? Because I can't understand this theory. And it falls into like my feelings are more important than facts of what's actually going on. Like when they brought up like, well, that was in front of a courthouse where they used to hang people. Every old courthouse is where they used to hang people.
And they're like,
what do you?
why did he choose that one? I'm like, because he lives there.
like,
Not in the courthouse, but he lives in that county.
It fit in the video budget. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's
It's
so
a beautiful
weird.
courthouse. I mean, it's a pretty downtown area. It's Columbia, Tennessee, Murray County. It's a beautiful.
yeah.
It's a beautiful
so
courthouse.
weird that like, you know, and on one hand, we're supposed to forget about all these things that made us who we are. On the other hand, we're supposed to remember it every day of our life.
Yeah.
Like just all these different things that are going on. It's like, man, I don't have a bad bone in my body toward anybody until you shit on me or my family.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think about your sexuality. I don't think about your color. I don't think about who you voted for. I don't care, honestly. Life is too short for me to care about your opinions and your thoughts on things. It's hard enough for me to figure out what my wife is thinking. I don't need to figure out what you're thinking, you know?
Well, you know, it always gets me on the voting thing is every person is voting for what should make what they believe will make their life better. So it's always baffling to me when you come to somebody and say, I want you to vote differently, even though it would make life worse for you because it would make life better for me. So it's like you're saying for me to vote against what I need in order for you to have what you need because you need it, but I don't need it. So it never makes sense to me to get mad at somebody for the way they vote. I'm like, vote for what you want to vote for, and I'll vote for what I want to vote for, and then however it turns out, that's how it's going to turn out, and we'll have to deal with it.
I mean, listen, my bottom line on it is that I enjoy my freedom.
Yeah.
And I want to keep having
and I
my
want you
freedom.
to enjoy yours.
Enjoy your freedoms. I do not have to agree with you. I mean, even down to, you know, I was having a discussion with my daughter the other day, and a particular subject, she was like, well, you know, it just bothers me that you don't support me on this particular topic. And I was like, I don't have to. It's not my job to support you on every topic.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can have different opinions. I still love you. Me supporting you as a human being is completely different than supporting one idea or one, you know, line that you're going down, you know? It's such a weird spot. And I think, you know, it has really annoyed me that I have 6 kids, man. You guys have kids. And no matter how hard I try to teach them a message of love, I feel like the world is continuing to tell them that they're different or they got problems and their problems are worse than other problems. And you got to believe this. And if someone votes like this, then they're this. And if someone sings about this, then they're this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so, I think I'm annoyed, or I know I'm annoyed at the fact of as much as you love your children, you're just trying to teach them the ways that were good in your life and the things that hurt you. And then whether it be your media or school or anything else, walks in and goes, no, your father's a liar.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they get
so
you want me to let you tell my kids how they should be raised, you know. But I'm the one that has to pay the bills. I'm the one that has to support whatever lifestyle that they're in.
And when they go your boneheaded direction, I'm the one that's got to bail them out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not you have nothing to do with them other than you think you should come in and give them 10 minutes of advice. But I'm the one that has to make sure that they're living.
What's crazy about that 10 minutes of advice? You don't know my child.
Right, yeah. You have,
I mean, with 6 children, I still have to parent each one of them completely different because they're different human beings. So don't teach one message to all of our children and act like that's going to freaking work.
It don't. I mean, you can, we talked about this before, but you could have 2 kids that live the exact same life, being raised the exact same way, and they completely turn out 2 different ways. Because you can't control how this kid handles certain things versus what this kid does. We all have different instincts. We all have different personalities. We all have different things that go on in our lives, things that we don't talk about to other people. I mean, we're pretty open now, but as kids, you know, there's things you kept to yourself. I didn't let anybody know what I was going through when I was a little kid because I was afraid. Well, first off, I thought it was what everybody went through until I got a little bit older. And then second off, I was like, once I learned that, I was afraid that if I said something, my mom would go to jail. Or they would take me away, and I didn't know where. Is it going to be worse than what I'm in now? You didn't know, and so it's like, I think when you look at the song with Jason Aldean, they could have picked a couple different arguments, but they tried to go with the race card. They tried to go with this is being racist, and there's like they're talking about people that are looting and rioting and doing all this, and then you watch the video.
I feel like that's the racist remark, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're implying that this race is the one doing all the looting.
But then when you watch the video, it's like. It's all different races in the video doing the bad stuff. It's not just one race that's doing it. So it's like, so you pick this race card to go. Now, if you wanted to pick one to go with, you could have said, well, we felt like it was inciting violence and saying that we're
Well,
okay with it. And some of them did. Some of them did
do that, and I'm going to go ahead and speak on that one too, because I'm okay with that. Why? That is how we got the freedoms that we have.
Yeah.
If you were mistaken about what our military is, they are fighting machines. If you infringe on our freedom, they will destroy you over it.
Yeah.
That's how we get to keep our freedoms.
Yeah.
That's how we got our freedoms. For you to be offended, everything you want to, someone had to fight and lay down their life. Someone had to go, not in my town, for you to have the right to do all of the crap that you're doing. Just being offended at this video, someone had to die.
Also,
for you
have you not ever seen Red Dawn? That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
I think when's the try that in a small town, right? When's the last time you remember America coming full steam ahead as one unit, ready to fucking rock and roll?
9/11.
9/11.
9/11. They
So-
attacked us on our soul, and all of a sudden, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm against war." Everybody's like, "Kill them."
Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
That within itself
For like
proves
5
his
minutes.
song right. But it proves his song right.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
don't fucking tread on our country. Don't tread on a small town. They're going to react the same way.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and
You tread on me, you tread on my family,
Yeah.
same sort of
Yeah.
deal.
And I know we've talked about this, but when I look at it, I'm like, I am 100% for your right
Yes.
to peacefully protest.
Absolutely.
I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's one of the best parts about it. You can actually go up there and you can hold a sign that says, "I don't like this president," or I hate so and so, or I do all this. You can hold that sign as long as you're not punching somebody in the face or burning down somebody's building. If you're just walking around holding a sign, no, I don't want you in the middle of traffic because you have something you're protesting against doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to get to work.
That's right.
So to me, that's not peaceful. So peaceful protest, I am 100% for it. I believe you should have that right, and whatever your agenda is, that's up to you. You know, I probably don't agree with most of it. I wouldn't personally get a picket sign and go stand out and pretty much do anything. I'm going to try.
No,
and
but that's because
solve it a
you're the
different
type
way.
of person to go, "Hey, this is a problem. Who should I talk to about this? How do
Yeah.
we solve this? How do we get past this?"
Well,
People like us go together and create groups that are actually doing something.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that people have the freedom to protest.
Yeah.
I don't know that I believe that anything really happens with it. Now, back in the day when you were looking at Martin Luther King, and which you don't want people for some reason forget how that all went down. They protested and they marched. But they marched to a spot. The march was to gather the attention that something is about to happen, and it's happening right over here. And at the end of that, you had one of the greatest speakers to ever live stand there and give you a message that was straight out of the mouth of God. He stood there and took his message right out of the Bible and taught people. And it's like, we forgot that. I mean, and it's also weird to think about like how much we hate on Christianity now. But how
Not
many
we,
of our greatest leaders,
but people.
But how much most of our greatest leaders relied on that? That was the tool.
Yeah.
That was the foundation.
Well, I think if you just look at, even if you're not a religious person, if you look at the Bible or probably the other religions, well, I don't know those as well, but
Well, most religions kind of hit on the same thing.
it's
These
like,
are just a good book of
hey,
principles.
don't kill people.
That seems like a great idea.
Don't steal from people.
Also seems
Basically
good.
don't be an a-hole. You know, like I think that's just kind of what it's saying. But when you look at where we're sitting at today, all these deals that go on in the world and all this, like I said, I'm for you having the right to protest. I'm not for you having the right to burn somebody's business down that they've worked their whole life to try and gain that one little piece of property. Their houses, blocking off an entire block up in Seattle, and or was it Seattle or Portland?
Portland.
But
They
I want to add
blocked
to that
off
too.
9 blocks and just took over people's houses.
I
I'm not
agree
okay
with you
that.
100%. But one of the things I want to point out is that when we talk about the media and how they stir things up, we also forget that all of us are like, that's bullshit. We shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. We also forget that if you start watching a lot of that stuff, a lot of those protests, a lot of those riots weren't near as big as what the media made it
That's
look
what
like.
That's what
And
Brock
so-
talked about in this last
You know,
episode.
the media spins it on both sides.
Yeah.
They're just out there trying to rile people up. So why the heck we thought social media was going to be any different? Social media is even more so.
Because now everybody's got a camera,
like,
everybody's a reporter, right? And they only report from what
and you can make it look however you want to look. And now we got AI, which now Vinny knows what is.
Artificial intelligence.
We now have AI that you can literally create any sort of riot or anything else that you want
some of these pictures I've seen come out of this is like, there was one the other day of the Pope getting chased by the cops. And it, like, literally looked like the Pope getting chased by the cops.
Have y'all heard, like, the music where they'll have, like, Michael Jackson rapping a song or whatever?
That doesn't scare me as much as has anybody heard the artist?
Oh, yeah.
They're creating artists now, creating songs that by an algorithm they think people want to hear and a sound of a voice that people want to hear. Like, one of them came out and he's already got like 30 million followers. This is not a real person. It's an AI artist that has 30 million followers already. Like,
he's already more successful. I mean, he's not even real. Damn.
Maybe that's your problem. You're too real.
I've got to be an artificial intelligence.
That's very dated that you think that that's what robots sound like.
I know. You know what? I just offended.
We just talked about how they can sound like Michael Jackson.
I just offended all the robots, bro.
Oh, dude, we didn't thought about that. We're going to start offending AI.
Way off subject.
Oh, crap.
What about the UFO shit and aliens?
Well, see, here's what happened. What had happened was Hunter Biden's deal got denied.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
His
plea bargain.
His
plea bargain got denied.
Yeah.
And then about 2 hours later, bam, UFOs are real, which we already knew they were anyways. I mean, if you're listening to this,
but they've got alien bodies.
Oh, listen.
So check this out. This is
we talked to Matt Murphy about this.
It's real.
Yeah.
This is one of the funniest things that I've heard one of my kids say. So, the oldest one's in the Air Force, and he comes back home, and somebody was talking about the Area
51.
Area
51, and it was about UFOs and all that kind of stuff, and he was just kind of rolling his eyes, and they were like, "Well, you don't believe in UFOs?" He was like, "I absolutely believe in UFOs." He was like, "What I don't understand that you don't get is that we're creating new ships and new things every single day in the Air Force, and we test them out in all sorts of strange locations. So when you see something, you're like, we don't have anything like that. You're right. We have one of them, and it failed. That's why you never saw it again. We are flying strange." He was like, it's like people think that we had the saucer. Where did you think that came from? We created a damn saucer and thought maybe this will fly, and then it didn't work very well. And he was like, we still have them. He's like, every sort of alien contraption that you can think of, the Air Force created that already. That's where we got the idea.
Yeah, but they got alien bodies, though. That just came out.
Well, we'll wait and see them.
That's true. It is. I have seen a lot of movies with alien bodies.
I don't know how we would know because of AI.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, I can't even get into that next part I was going to get into.
Alien intelligence.
That's what AI is. A-L-I-E-N-S. Aliens. I got it right.
Nailed it.
Anyway.
So we were talking about the Bible, and now we're at aliens.
Yeah. Well, if you study the Bible, a lot of people was like, when you look back at Adam and Eve, okay, there was Adam and Eve, right? And they were supposed to start this whole thing. And then a lot of people will say that there was no other people on the earth other than them, but that's not true. Because when Cain killed Abel, right, and Cain left, and he came back with a whole other group of people. And no, it wasn't the Canaanites. That's a whole different thing, but a lot of people thought it was Canaanites. But you read the Bible, Cain, whenever he returned, he had a whole group of people with him. Well, those people weren't from Adam and Eve. So who were they? What were they?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of what I know about Cain was off of Supernatural, that show.
Yeah.
That was most of what I've learned about Cain.
Hey,
welcome to the Refine Life podcast.
Bring us in.
Okay,
Vinny.
so back to what we were talking about. So
Do you even know what subject we're on?
I do.
Now?
We're still talking about try that in a small town. What I was trying to get to a while ago before we were interrupted by aliens and moms was that whenever I was saying
I hope the aliens hear that song because
try that in my small town.
better not.
And apparently there's a lot of probing going on in those small towns.
Right?
Hey, all I'm saying is because now that and I'm back to this again. Now because of the aliens has come out and they're saying, yes, aliens are real and yes, we have bodies and yes, we have UFOs. They owe a lot of guys from the trailer park some apologies for not believing their stories and making people believe they were crazy.
That's the trailer parks. You know how that goes. This country ain't like that.
I grew up in it. Well, it wasn't a park though. It was just a trailer in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I've never seen a trailer park that had a park. I'm sure they exist.
Oh, they have like used old cars out there up on blocks. You can like jump on the hood and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They bounce,
close.
you know. Anyway,
Slight gift.
no, what I was saying was, so we in my little town, there was actually an incident, and this is in Perry County, Tennessee. There's something that happened at the local
Piggly Wiggly.
grocery store. It is. It's a
H.G.
food giant now.
Hills
But
or
when I
Piggly
worked there, it
Wiggly?
was a Piggly Wiggly when I was in school. But it's a food giant now. There was a situation there where somebody got fired, and they were saying that it was because of their race and all this other stuff. So they did end up having a BLM protest there. Now, our sheriff said he let everybody know in the community they have the right to come here and protest as long as they keep it peaceful. And he was very adamant about that. He's like, make sure that they're going to come up here. The protesters are going to stand on the square and they're going to have their signs, and you have to respect that they have the right to do that. And they did. And there was, of course, people that on the other side of the street that were protesting the protesters, and they were all yelling at each other, but nobody broke out into fights. None of that stuff happened. However, if something would have happened, task force from all the surrounding counties came and were inside the courthouse waiting in case something broke out. And there was about 50 of the protesters showed up, so there was enough there that could have, caused some problems. But they didn't do that. Now, it happened to be 104 degrees that day, or 106, something like that. It was so hot.
Bad day for a protest.
It was a
Bad day, bro.
Bad day. And you know what?
Better.
Our sheriff and all the police officers were out there giving out water, trying to check on people, make sure they stay hydrated and all that. And I believe that's a beautiful thing. I think that if you keep it peaceful, and they did, everything was respectful. The most disrespectful was actually the guys driving by in their big trucks with the flags hanging out the back, and they were blowing black smoke, and all this other stuff from their big diesel trucks. But they have the right to do that. They can go through and do that. Just
That
like
also
anybody else.
annoys me, though.
It does
I'm a
annoy
redneck,
me.
and every time I see it, I'm like, dude, what the hell are you
Especially when
doing?
I'm
Just
behind
stop
it. Yeah.
Can we talk about the trend with the trucks?
Oh, dude, the squatting trucks with
squatting?
all the lights on it, man.
Can we
like-
talk about? Can we address that?
I don't know how you see when you're riding on the road. I feel like you're like this. I'm like, hope I don't run into anybody.
I'm sure there were some trends when we were 17, 18 that made people go.
And maybe my dad wanted to slap us too, but I definitely want to slap every one of them.
Man,
I would
it's
tell you this.
terrible.
So
They're all four-wheel drives, have no capabilities of being a four-wheel drive.
unless you're going up something that's in front of you, because you're already.
Now you'd flip over that way.
That's
You got to
true.
go
That's true.
someplace down.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're like
Oh, the
turned
wheels
outward.
they go sideways.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Those don't bother me. I just think,
Talking
man,
about
that's
that
got
look
to
like
be
they got the spokes. That
It's gonna
originates
wear out
from
quick.
Houston, Texas. That's a
Well,
Texas.
absolutely.
thing.
That's the only part that bothers me. I'm like, man, you got to replace those wheels a lot, or you're not going many places. 'cause
Tires.
That's just, the tires.
Tires. Maybe the wheels too. I mean, if they're riding on one side of them, probably just
I know.
proportional on
They're
the weight.
always really, really low. Like the car's sitting really low. And I'm like, any bump at all, man.
I will tell you this. Now that when I was a kid, I had a little low rider truck. Now it wasn't super low. It wasn't like
That's
scraping
only
the
because you
ground.
weighed 500 pounds. Every
That's
truck
true.
was a low
That's
riding
true.
truck.
He sat in
It was a stock truck, but when I got in it, bam,
It
low
was a S10.
ride.
Hey, can you put some better
It wasn't
shots
S10.
on this?
It wasn't
I already
S10.
know. I didn't have
It was
a
an
question.
S10, yeah.
It was a S10. He sat in it. It was
It was a
low
low
rider.
rider.
Yep.
But I mean, I had like the paint job on it. I had flames. I had the whole. I mean, I was high tech redneck. But I will say this: after scraping on everything all the time, I never want a low rider ever again. I am very happy with my
Low
stock vehicle that my little Volvo I got. But I
I'm
do
not
think
ever going to lower anything. I'll jack anything up, but I don't want to lower anything.
I think that I've definitely come back, and that's in a small town. I mean, small towns we do, we see stuff that are trending, and we want to kind of do it. And I think these kids, that's their new thing, and it's weird to me. And I'm literally like, I don't know why you would want to drive it like that, but hey, that's you. You have the freedom to do that. So I got pulled over all the time for having my tent too dark. So I don't know if these guys are getting pulled over, if this is legal or not. But if it is, I'm sorry if you get pulled over every week, because I did for my tent.
Dude, I used to get pulled over for my tent all the time.
Yeah.
It's weird. That was one of the things that I think, man, maybe I'm getting old, because I realized, like, I bought the Jeep and it had some tint on it and I didn't do anything else. And I was like, it hit me the other day. I was like, I can't remember the last time I put tint on windows. But like, that was a thing that you
got
just had to
got
do.
ducks on your dash.
I do have ducks on my
Oh, you get ducked.
He
because it's a
gets
Jeep.
ducked.
That makes sense.
Anyway, back to the small town stuff. It was just cool to see that, hey, if something did go down, all these other little small towns around us had come in and said, hey, we're going to be there and put a stop to this thing quick. And I felt like it was a great idea, and they ended up not having to use that. But
which is awesome.
I believe that's what this song is about. It's saying that, hey, if you stay by the law and you do this, we're not. I never once in my life woke up and wanted to hurt somebody based on their race, their religion, their sexual orientation. That's you. You know, you do you. But if you do try to attack my family or try to attack my home, it doesn't matter. It also still doesn't matter to me what your race, religion, creed, whatever all the things are, sexual. Like, if you're trying to attack my kids, if you're trying to attack my house, if you're trying to come into my area and do something wrong, I got guns.
What if it's Bo Jackson?
You can't. Bo knows not to.
Okay.
Bo knows not to mess with Vinny.
I just figured because the whole. I just figured.
Another thing that bothered me. Another thing that bothered me in this last episode, just so y'all know, is I brought in my Bo Jackson stuff and I showed you all that, and not one person has asked me about my autograph hat that I'm wearing right now.
I just assumed
I didn't see that it was all autographed.
It is Eddie George, but it's also Kevin Dyson
and Bo Jackson.
Nope, the freak, Javon Curse.
That's
so
dope.
I got 3 members of the Super Bowl team. We didn't win it. Kevin, I'm sorry, you just didn't quite reach that.
So,
in fairness, we didn't know that we had to ask you anything. You're pretty much tell us everything.
I just wanted it to be like, like when you get a new pair of shoes and you want somebody to ask if you can run faster in them. That's how I felt with my cool Titans hat.
Can you think better in that?
I can.
Is this
all of a sudden I can determine dime and nickel defenses like that, man.
Were you wearing that when you learned what AI was?
That's different.
Is since we're drinking rye,
rye the label.
Is this the same golf tournament last year where Eddie did a barrel pick for some bourbon?
Probably. Oh yes, and I have some. I have a round of that. We got
we have like a case of it at the house.
Did they do that again this year or no?
Oh,
I didn't get any bourbon. If they did,
y'all still got more of that?
I got a whole thing of it at the house. It's autographed by Eddie George.
Stingy as fuck.
Oh, we should bring one to your shop.
I can't be stingy with bourbon because I don't drink. So you can drink it all. I just want to keep the bottle.
Yeah, I just need 1 or 2
bottles.
Yeah, I'll buy
4.
No, I don't have I have 1 bottle.
How many you got?
Probably 4.
Oh, then there's your man.
Yeah, there's my man. I'll buy 1.
What all goes to charity, anyways. So
still?
Yeah, I think we got those for charity, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So it's $2,561. He already agreed to it. Binding contract verbally. Try that in a small town. Anyway, it was a cool event. But back to what we're supposed to be talking about, because we get off subject a lot, and it's not my fault this time. I just want to point that out.
Oh, it was. I think that's your first time.
Is it my first time?
I think it's your first time.
I like first times.
Yeah, it's usually me, but this once it wasn't. So I just want to point out that it was someone else.
I just assumed it was you. I had to process that. Like,
then I started second guessing. Was it me? Did I actually? Anyways, so what we do need to talk about though is
it was you. You started talking about no one has anything about my hat.
No,
that's how we got on Eddie George.
No, that was after we already got interrupted. And I just kept going with it.
I knew my dopamine wasn't high enough for a first time.
Hey, you were talking about the other day. You said that you got this Jeep now so you can get ducked. You used to want to buy a Jeep so you could get ducked. Ducked. That's what it was. Basically what happened was a guy bought a Jeep. He said, I bought this Jeep so I could get, but then it auto-corrected to ducked, and then it just stuck. Now everybody's getting ducked in their Jeep.
Oh, maybe. Is it like that joke about, I didn't ask for a 10-inch pianist either?
I was like, oh. Anyways, so what then? So you got all these people that are mad about a song, which is always ridiculous in my mind anyways. There's a lot of songs you could be mad about that are a lot worse than somebody saying, hey, don't come into my town and try to burn stuff down, and don't try to rob an old lady at a red light, and don't try to, shoot the guy in the liquor store.
He just almost wrote another song.
That's the same song.
Oh,
that's the exact lyrics. You ain't even listened to the song yet?
I just know the media headlines, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to read past those headlines. Sometimes you see a headline, you're like, what? And then you go read it. It's like, that's not what happened.
Dude, I saw a clip of Cody Johnson the other day, and I was so proud of him for doing this. He went out there, and you know the fan base that might typically be at a Cody Johnson show, and he starts riling them up about. He's like, "You seen this happening? And you seen this happening? And these people saying this, and these people saying that." And everybody's like, "Oh!" And he's like, "Doesn't that just piss you off?" And they're like, "Oh!" And he was like, "You know what you can do about that? You can love them because they have those freedoms,
Yeah.
the same freedoms
Yep.
that you have, and someone died for them to have those freedoms.
Yeah.
So when they piss you off, you can love them. You have the right to love them."
Mm.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, it's awesome. He stood there in front of, 10,000 people that came to see him that night. And he
Yeah.
was like, you
I
can
love
love
it.
them.
I love it.
Well, it was once said that you can't kill hate with hate. That's something only love can do. The wise man that said that.
Who was it?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Nice.
That's not the exact quote, but basically he says, I can tell you,
This is when the cameras should pan that way.
I know the whole quote. I just can't remember it all right now, but it says, no, listen, it says,
That's Vinny's version
says,
of no. I just can't remember what I know.
darkness can't light darkness. That's something only light can do. Something similar to that. And hate can't defeat hate. It's something only love can do. That's the Vinny version of what it says.
I love it.
That's like, how you got the King James version, you got the New International version. That's the Big Vinny version. Okay.
And the message version.
The message. Yeah. The message. Yeah.
The message makes everything times 10, though. Like it takes the NIV version, which is 2 sentences,
Yeah.
and the message version is like 10 sentences.
Well, it's got to be a message
Hey.
instead of a quote.
Since we continue to get off topic, I'm going to get off topic here for a minute. Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Darkness cannot
Hey.
drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love. That's very close to what I said.
Yes.
You know
Give me
what?
some love.
I bet you said
Okay.
it almost as good as him.
No. Who's a really good speaker.
So I was thinking about this today because, we weren't expecting to be in here tonight. And I had a very busy day. And my busy day turned into a whole lot of crap from home all the way to just one of those days that nothing went right and you couldn't get anything accomplished for something else going wrong. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is,
But except for you got to talk to me for like 30
And
minutes.
so I'm saying this was the day. It was emotional stuff from home. It was crap going on the job site. It was, the typical getting up at 5:30, being on the job site at 6:30, and then getting done around 4:30, sitting in traffic for an hour, working on music stuff and contracts, and then coming here and being here until, 10 o'clock or whatever it is. And I was still excited to come see you guys.
Yeah.
And I try to get my children to understand that. And I think we kind of started off on that sort of topic. Like the life that I live is so enjoyable that even on my shitty days, even when I'm like, this was a long, grueling, nothing went right day, I'm emotionally drained. I'm physically, mentally exhausted. And yet I still walk into a room with you guys and I'm like, it's a great freaking day, man.
Yeah.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
And that I think, still goes back to the message. Like when you're looking at our media, when you're looking at all these different things in the world, and they're telling you how great your life is going to be if you'll do this or do that. I'm not seeing a whole lot of great in any of that. But what I can tell you is that my life is freaking awesome, even on my bad days.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking for a better life, I can point to 2 other dudes right across the table that feel the same way. So it's incredible. And I think anybody out there listening, there's people all around you doing the same thing. People that are ignoring the media, they're ignoring all the hate, all the anger. And obviously in the beginning of this, and sometimes we still get riled up about things, but the reality is that I don't really take that to bed. I don't live with that.
Yeah.
I voice my opinion, what I think, because I am very opinionated, but at the same time, it doesn't resonate and stay in my heart. I get it out and I say it and I'm like, but whatever, you can think whatever you want to think and I don't have to like it. And I move on.
Yeah.
My
And you would
life
still
is
be the
awesome.
guy that would pull over and help somebody in need, regardless.
Absolutely.
Like I've helped a lot of people on the side of the road just because I've been in that position.
Never asked them who they voted for before. I
Not
helped
one time. Not
Right.
one time have I asked them who they voted for or anything else. And
Yep.
so I think that's a great point. Is most people I believe are that way. Now, some people I don't suggest just anybody pull over and help somebody on the side of the road. we're built a little different,
And we
so,
got backup.
yeah, and we have guns. No, obviously, I've picked up hitchhikers. I've done a lot of stuff, and I always go off of what I feel like God told
Hey,
me
if
to
you're
do.
paying them, those aren't hitchhikers, buddy.
That's true. Dang it. Anyway, no, it's like, but I've picked
Especially
up.
not when you're taking them back to the same place you got them.
I just dropped them back off where they were at.
I'm kidding. Someone's watching or listening to that.
You're gonna think I really?
Vinny's not into hookers. It's
Yeah.
not a thing.
I'm just. Anyways, what I'm saying is I've done those things and immediately regretted it.
Wait.
I picked up hitchhicers and immediately.
We got off on the hookers for a minute. You're like, I've
Yeah.
done those things and immediately regret it.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify for anyone
It was
listening.
the greatest day of my life.
I just wanted to clarify for anybody listening that you weren't talking about hookers.
No, not hookers. I'm talking about hitchhikers, which you considered were the same thing. But no, I've picked up hitchhikers and immediately regretted it.
Now we're going to lose all of our hitchhiker fan base.
Yeah.
And be like, he thinks that all hitchhikers are hookers.
He's no longer going to get in there in somebody else's car and has to plug into their USB port so that he can, or connect to their Bluetooth so that they can say, we're
Listen,
not playing that
'cause I
podcast.
might offend some more people right here, but like,
No, you-
is it the Wiccan community?
The witch,
what?
Wiccan.
What the hell is that?
Witches.
They're witches. That's why I thought it was Wiccan.
Nature witches or something like that.
The Wiccan community. I said something
I
one
need more
day.
info.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I said something one day online, and this guy wrote me immediately. He was like, I can't believe you said that. And I had no idea what I'd said. It was something about Christianity, though. And he was like, I mean, you're risking, he said, you're risking offending your entire Wiccan fan base. And I was like,
Pretty sure.
I don't think there's many of you.
Did you have to Google that?
So what was it? What did you say? You don't remember?
I probably said something like, I'm willing to take that.
No.
Willing to risk
I mean,
that.
what did you say that offended a Wiccan?
And it was definitely
you
something
hated
about
trees?
Christian. It was something Jesus related or whatever. And I probably gave all the props to like, this is my view on how you find peace and happiness. And you know, and he was like, you could offend your entire Wiccan fan base. And it was like,
I need more information.
I don't know how many there are.
I feel like I'm
One.
about to learn a lot. What is the Wiccan? I know it's witches.
Well, now the very simple fact that you said, what are Wiccans, also implies that I might not have that many Wiccan fans.
Well, you called them witchins. So
Whatever.
just right off. Now they're really
I've offended all of them. Whatever.
Now they're offended. So it's Wiccan or Witchin?
Wiccan.
Wiccans.
Wiccans.
I've known a couple in my day and super nice people, the ones that I've met. Now I don't know what their whole belief system
You pick
is.
them up on the side of the road.
No, I don't. I don't ask somebody what's their beliefs when I pick them on the side of the road. If I see somebody, it's like 98 degrees outside and they're pouring down sweat, and it's like the what's been the resolve for me is whenever they get in my car and they have a body odor, and then they get out of my car and the body odor stays. That's been the issue. However, there's also been times I've probably picked up a hitchhiker and I farted in my car 16 times a day, and they get in the car and they're like, damn it, they immediately regret their decision to get in this guy's car, So hey, it works both
You
ways.
just brought something. I thought you were going to go a different direction than that, and I was just picturing you for some reason picking up this hitchhiker, never say anything, and just farting, just over and over. Just loud, stinky
this
farts,
man is
not saying anything.
He's such a good human. He's apologetic for passing gas in his own car before he picks up the hitchhiker.
Hey, listen.
You ever sit down on somebody's couch and that smell comes out? You're like, a lot of farts on this couch.
Oh, me. Don't sit on my couch. That's why I sit in my own recliner all the time. No, listen. Whenever I
Anybody
was...
know what we're talking about?
Yes. Try that in a small town. Picking up hitchhikers. You pretty much can put it in anything. Did you see the one I sent you about Jason Voorhees? Try that at a campground.
I did.
It was pretty good.
That's a good.
No, I picked up this one hitchhiker. It was actually the second hitchhiker I ever picked up when I was 16. Picked up a hitchhiker. He was standing on a bridge, the Alvin C. York Bridge in Perry County, Tennessee. It's the Tennessee River Bridge that connects Perry County and Decatur County. And I was driving, and I had left Sonic Drive-In that night and was headed back to Perry County. I was 16 years old, and I see this guy, and he's standing there on the top of the Alvin C. York Bridge. And he's just kind of standing there. So I'm get down the road, turn around, come back. I'm like, hey, man, you okay? You need a ride? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I was like, well, are you trying to get somewhere? Are you just hanging out on the bridge? He's like, yeah. He goes, I just just got a lot going on. And I was like, I started to drive off, and I'm like, something told me, God told me, you need to stay there longer. And so I was like, well, man, I said, if you need some help or something I can do, if you, and I didn't, at this point, I had no clue that somebody would jump off this bridge to commit suicide, but it's, hundreds of feet high. And I'm sitting there, I was like, you sure you don't need a ride? I said, man, I don't mind. I can take you into town or, anything, whatever you need. And finally he gets in the car and he's like, man, I was just sitting there contemplating if I was going to jump or not. And I'm like, what? I was like, why would you jump? I was like, I said, you can't survive that fall. I said, people have jumped off this bridge before and died trying to jump off of it to go in the water because it's Tennessee River.
This is one of the things I love about Vinny is like just not catching that at all. Like, what do you mean? Why would you do that? You could hurt yourself, buddy. That's not a good move.
I literally said to him, I was like, it's nighttime. I said, you won't be getting in the middle of the Tennessee River at nighttime. I was like, first off, there could be a barge coming down the river and won't even see you, And he goes, no, I didn't want to live. And I'm like, you don't want to live? He's like, yeah. He goes, it's like, man, I just got all this going on. I think it was something, it's been a long time now, but it was something to do with a girl, and he was depressed and all this other stuff, and just felt like there was nowhere else to go. And so I had this conversation with him, and I was prepared for this conversation. We talked about this in one of our episodes. I was prepared for this conversation because I had been through that before, but it still didn't cross my mind until he actually said that's what he was trying to do. I thought it's like he just wanted to jump off for a thrill, and see what happens. But as I'm sitting there talking to him, and he's like, man, he goes, it's so weird. He goes, I literally said, if there's a reason for me not to jump, send me a sign, God. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you come back and you're sitting there talking to me. And I sit there and talk to this guy, and I don't know him, and I realize I'm like, and it's so weird. I'm looking back on it now. I was like, I'm talked about having impact on people, earlier when we're speaking at schools and things like that. And I just thinking back now, I was like, man, I had a real impact on that guy's life because God sent me in there to be that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought about it till right now. Like literally I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to get teared up. Like,
you're just not just an impact, you saved it.
Now I'm wondering, like, where's that guy at today? I mean, that's been 20 something years ago, but
that hit me. It's funny that while you were telling that story, and I think God works this way a lot. While you were telling that story, though, I'm in this prayer group, and typically whenever it goes out, I typically notice it. And Jeffrey Steele popped up on there and had put something on. I know we've talked about Steele. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's written probably 40, 50 number one hits.
Yeah. Amazing.
Incredible writer and just incredible man. And anyway, that prayer group popped up, and I saw his name pop up right as you were talking about. I just prayed for someone to show up.
Yeah.
And that last song that I put out, Orange Keychain, Jeffrey had written that. And that was a discussion with him and God as well. We created a music video around Jeffrey's story, essentially. But Jeff had just lost his child in a ATV accident. What, he's like 15, 16, somewhere in there?
Something like that.
And he had just quit drinking the year before. And so it hadn't been a great year already. And then, you feel like, well, I sacrificed and I'm trying to change my life and make different moves. And then my kid died.
Take my son, yeah.
Right. And he was headed to an AA meeting. And he pulled up. He couldn't find the AA meeting, and he was frustrated, and he was just upset about everything. Been a year sober, and I've lost my kid, and yada, yada, yada. He pulls over the side of the road, and this little gravel parking lot there. And he said the top was down on his convertible, and he just started yelling at God. And he's like, if you're real, I need a sign. And I don't need any sign that someone else might confuse or whatever. He's like, I need a sign that's specifically only for me. I need something that you design that when I see it and realize it, I'll know that was for me. And this guy pulls up on a bicycle next to him, taps on his window, and he immediately tells him he doesn't have any money, and he's pissed off, and he's just like, I don't have any money, go on. And guy leaves. A little bit later, the guy comes back. He's still yelling at God, and this guy comes back up again. And he tells him he didn't have any money, leave. Guy comes back up again, and he's still having the same conversation, yelling at God. And he's just like, seriously, show me something right now that to let me know that you are listening, that you are real. And he kind of yells at the guy this time. He's like, I don't have any money. And the guy leaves. And he happens to look up in his rearview mirror. It's funny you brought up Pee Wee,
yeah,
too, because he said He looked in his rearview mirror, and there's this Pee Wee Herman sort of bike going away. And he was like, what people don't know about Jeffrey Steele is he collects bikes, loves bikes,
Wow.
all sorts of like weird, eclectic bikes. He said he's got like 300 bikes in a garage. And he saw that bike, and he was like, what did that guy want? And then he looked up and realized that the guy was pointing over there, which is where the AA clubhouse that he was trying to find was.
Mm.
And he immediately goes to jump out of the car, and the guy's gone. And he was like, I got no proof of who that guy was. He was like, in my head, that was an angel. That was God showing me what I needed to see. And that was the God going, I am here, and where you're looking for is right there.
Yeah.
And so that song, there's one line that kind of floats by everybody that says on a red bicycle in that song. And that's where it stemmed from.
Shiny
like
red bike.
Shiny red bike, yeah. On the shiny red bike. And, that song didn't do much for me, but it's still, I think about
Video was
those
great.
moments of, just all the times in my life that God has shown up for me. And, I got in trouble about that with that video I posted. If you will ask God to show up, if you are dedicating, your heart really wants God to show up, he will always show up. And someone sent me a message and they said, that's bullshit. I've asked God to show up many times. He's never shown up. You guys are full of crap. And he said he was an atheist, and he went on about this bit. And I immediately responded back to him. I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I mean, he sent like 3 or 4 paragraphs just telling me, what a piece of crap I was for building people in this faith and this crap, And I sent him a message back, and I was like, hey, man, I'm really sorry that bothered you. This is my walk. This is what my life has been like. But I totally understand that your life may have been different. And clearly Christians have hurt you. And I apologize on behalf of those Christians. If you're open to talking about this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And, like you get those little bubbles up. Like he starts typing, and the bubbles go away. Bubbles come back.
Yeah.
Bubbles go away. And they come back, and he sends a message that just says, holy shit. And I sent back, what was that for? And he goes, man, I've told so many Christians off on Facebook. And he was like, not a one of them have ever sent me anything back, let alone apologize to me for the ways that they had hurt me. And he was like, you want to have a debate? I'll debate. And I was like, I'm up. And we talked for probably a month back and forth. And it blew my mind, like the thought that like so many people were given the opportunity to witness to him.
Yeah.
And they just were like, oh, what an asshole, and just left it alone.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know about anybody else's God, but I will always be up for a debate and a discussion about God because I know what God has done in my life. I know how many times he's shown up for me. I know the things that he's changed in my life. You're not going to change my thought on that, and I will stand my ground and talk to you about that, which leads me back to what we said earlier. I believe the Bible. I believe what it says all the way through it. Do I make my mistakes? Absolutely. But I'm also not editing the Bible and going, hey, I know this thing over here that I like to do, but I don't really believe what that says in the Bible. I'm very aware where I fail. What you may not see is that while I'm not working on certain things, there's a lot of other things I got problems with that I am working on that take precedence over some of the other stuff.
Yeah, that's why it's always weird to me when somebody says, I don't want to go to church. There's all kinds of hypocrites there. I'm like, yeah, they're all there trying to get better too. It's
they're
like,
also at the pizza place and everywhere else.
and everywhere else you go. But
how many people are at Walmart saying, I hate Walmart?
I heard this story once, and a guy went in to go see his barber, and he gets there and he gets a new haircut and all this other stuff, and he says, yeah, I'm headed to church, and the barber looks at him and says, I can't believe you're going to church, man. He goes, I can't believe you believe all that stuff, and you believe in God and all that. And he's like, oh yeah, I believe 100% in God. And he's like, well, tell me this. If God is real, then why does bad things happen to good people? And he kind of explains to him, he's like, hey, bad things happen to all people, not just good people. It happens to bad people, good people. Bad things happen. He goes, yeah, well, I just can't believe in God because, I've never seen him, He's like, he must not exist because I've never seen him. He's like, all right. He's like, because if he did exist, then bad things wouldn't happen to good people. So he's like, all right. So he walks out of the barbershop, pays him, tips him, whatever, walks out of the barbershop, gets a couple steps in and sees this bum. And the bum's got real shaggy hair and his beard's all messed up and everything else. And guy grabs him and says, "Hey, will you come with me? I'm gonna get you a haircut and pay for your haircut today." And he's like, "Yeah, man." So he goes in, walks back there, and he says, "Hey, barber." He's like, "Barbers don't exist." And he's like, "What do you mean barbers don't exist?" Well, if barbers existed, this guy wouldn't have a shaggy beard and dirty hair and all this other stuff, because barbers, they're there to fix those problems, right? He goes, "Well, no, the problem isn't that I don't exist. The problem is that he never come to see me." And boy, it just hit him like, the problem isn't that God didn't exist. It's that you never went to go see him.
Mm.
And that just, when I heard that story, I got goosebumps. I even get goosebumps telling it. But
Mm.
how many times is people sitting there and they're like, "I don't believe in God. I don't believe this. I don't believe that." And the real problem is just that you never seek to find him. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have this or I don't have that." And the Bible says you have not because you ask not. Now, does that mean that God's going to give you every single thing you ask for? No. But if you don't ask for it, you for sure ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? So you got to ask for it, and then you got to do some work too. But I don't know. It just,
But you know
lived
what?
with
You
me.
say that, but at the same time, like, if I ask for something, I see where God gives me the ability
The
to have those
opportunity
things.
or the
A lot of
ability, yeah.
times my mind changes somewhere in it because I'm like, well, yeah, I know I asked for a Bentley, but I don't really want to pay that much money for a Bentley, so
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get a Bentley.
Yeah.
Like,
Rolls Royce.
but
Yeah. Oh, R&R, a little rest and relaxation. The, what was it, the scripture where it says, if you have faith within a grain of a mustard seed, you can move mountains, right? And there's, different versions of it, but, it never says that you're not going to have to get an axe and a hammer and a hoe and a shovel and a pick and move the mountain.
Get to work. Yeah.
So you have faith that you can move it. So put that faith into action and start moving it. You have the ability. We've moved a
or
lot.
I just wait for you to fall asleep and then I roll you over.
I am a mountain. It does say you can command the mountains to get up and move, and they'll get up and move. But you have to believe that you can do that. And I think it takes a lot of faith to get to a grain of a mustard seed. Because I have tried to move traffic many times in my life. God, move this traffic. My son, I told you the story about him sitting there the other day. He was going, squinting his eyes. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I think my laser vision's coming in, Dad. My heat vision." And he's like, trying to make his heat vision come out of his eyes. I'm like, "Yeah, buddy." I said, "It usually waits until you're about 16. I was like, "But you might get it early. So keep trying." Because to me, it's like so wholesome and innocent.
Dude.
I was like, "But don't jump off the roof trying to fly, please."
I'm sure this will offend somebody. I convinced my son on his 11th birthday that he would turn into a girl.
Oh, gosh.
And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, all your sisters were boys."
That can
before they
happen
You're like a big brother as a dad.
That wasn't a normal thing back then, like that can happen now. But yeah, and he's like, "Dad, I like being a boy." I was like,
Sorry,
"Well,
buddy.
sorry, buddy. That's just the way it goes."
Did you tell him that you used to be a girl until you were 11 and then you turned
Yep,
into a boy?
I did.
That actually happens now. You spoke that into existence.
I was a young parent, so I did treat my children like an older brother a lot.
Yeah, you're like an older brother.
It's Jared's fault.
That was one of my best compliments. We were in the grocery store one day, and my daughter looked up, and I licked my fingers and rubbed it on her glasses. And she's like, "Ah!" And she gets mad at me, and the lady at the register goes, "I understand, honey. I had older brothers too." And I was like, "Oh."
What's funny is doing stuff like that. I mean, you think about the way you did act. I mean, your brothers were quite a bit older than you, but my brother was 3 years older than me, and my sister was a year and a half younger than me. So it's like we constantly were doing stupid stuff to each other just to get each other go. Because you had living out in the middle of the woods, we had nothing to do.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like you had to create some entertainment there.
It was
somewhere.
worse for me because they were older. They were way smarter than me. Like my brother convinced me that what was at the center of a Tootsie Pop was a fish eyeball. And I found out.
Yeah, that it was a Tootsie Roll.
Yeah,
That's why it's called a Tootsie Pop.
Found out that it did not taste like a fish eyeball is what I found out.
You ever
They
ate a
also
fish eyeball?
convinced me those bouillon cubes. You ever seen those?
Mhm.
Little jar. They convinced me that those were Mom's secret candies.
Yeah.
You should try those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not. You ever try one?
My brother would always tell me I'm
Sounds
adopted.
salty.
Yeah.
My brother would say, "You're adopted. You're not even part of this family." I'm like, "Well, that would make a lot of sense."
He thought it was going to upset you. You're like, "I agree."
Yeah. I'm leaving as soon as I can. Anyways, I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about try that in a small town, but we're off that subject now. So we're just letting this.
We went to Bibles and aliens and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff.
Anyway, man, this has been a cool episode. I enjoy talking about all the different random stuff, and I think it's every now and then we just have to have these where we got something for everybody in this
It's a good
episode.
powwow.
Yeah,
It's
We
good
got something for
powwow.
everybody.
No, we didn't. Our Wiccan fans are not going to be happy.
That's true. Well, we're giving light to what they do, or darkness. I don't know, whatever it is they do. Now I have to go study about Wiccans. I've had some friends
I'm
along
gonna have
the
to
way.
Google as soon
I had a
as
friend named Lisa Marie, and she was a Wiccan, and she was dating my buddy Scott, and she was very nice, and she made the most.
I liked her.
Yeah, she made the most amazing pizza you've ever had in your life.
I've never had her pizza.
It was called Porn Star Pizza. It was delicious. I told her she should open a restaurant. It was like this. I mean, it was like this thick, deep dish.
Does she do witch shit though?
I never saw her do anything.
She did on that pizza.
Whatever she did to that pizza was definitely witchcraft because it was amazing. I felt like she put a spell on me. Anyway, no, her pizza was delicious, and she was always such a sweet person. But she was definitely, she's like, hey, I'm Wiccan, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it didn't bother me. I mean, I would tell her I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe He died on the cross for the remission of my sins.
I've never heard of it.
Well, now you got to go look it
I
up.
have never heard of this.
They're
No, I know there's.
they're distant cousins to the vegans.
Now you just lost all of our vegan fans.
Well,
Thanks a lot.
Shit.
Listen, if they're following my Instagram, they already know I'm cooking up a lot of meat. I definitely don't have any vegan fans. out
Hey,
there.
who was? Oh, it was on Yellowstone, and I've never actually seen an episode of Yellowstone. But
Me
it's
neither. I keep thinking about it.
Everybody says how good it is. Jamie Noah has told me, you don't watch that show, you're an idiot. I'm like, well, I was an idiot long before this show came out. But anyways, there's a clip of what's his name? The actor.
Mel Gibson.
No, not Mel Gibson. That's the Sound of Freedom you're talking about. No, that's Jim Caviezel.
Oh, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Jesus. Kevin Costner.
There's this clip of him, and they're protesting his meat farm or whatever it is. You know, they're like, you shouldn't be doing this. He's like, he goes into this office. He goes, he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, y'all are talking about plants. You're going to eat all these plants. Well, guess what happens when we plow those fields and all those mice die and all these insects die and all this die? He goes, in fact, it kills more animals for you eating plants than it does for the animals that eat the plants and us eating the animals that eat the plants. He goes into this whole long spiel about how many mice die and how many rabbits die and how many homes are upgraded from them eating their plants and all this other stuff. And I was like, dang, I never thought of it like that's a great argument. I mean, I don't want to get in an argument with a vegan because they're usually smarter than me because they eat like really good, healthy foods. But anyways, there you go.
I was a vegan for like 6 months, and I grew.
My wife used to be a vegan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, too much soy.
Huh.
Yeah, it was weird. I was in really good shape, and then these things came in, and I haven't lost them since.
Yeah. Mine came in from
You
biscuits
see
and
them
gravy.
dudes? Pretty good. Pretty good.
Permanip.
Interesting.
Pretty good. Not that I was trying to turn you
All right, now,
on or anything.
speaking, let's go back to meat.
Yeah, that's
for a minute.
natural. As soon as you walked in, bro, you got the
You
fire.
guys dropped a bomb on me that there were some changes going on at Tennessee Meat Co. Last time we were in here. And so I want to let you know about some other things.
Okay, let's go.
Because I went to the farmer's market this weekend by accident. We just went to get breakfast.
Right here
and,
on the square?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that meat guy out there, you bought any of his meat?
I don't know who the meat guy is.
Well, it said Wagyu, and so I was like, well, let me know about it.
Shit. Okay, let's go.
And because of my natural charms, he gave me a bunch of Wagyu.
He gave you his meat.
Yeah, he gave me his meat. I talked him into it. My wife talked to his wife for a while. I talked to him, and before
This
I
could
knew it,
go-
I had a bag of his meat.
Turns out she grows flowers and makes pies.
And anyway, I cooked that up, and dude, it was good. So I highly
American
recommend.
Wagyu or Japanese?
This was
Probably American. Right?
No, because he was very specific about how much actually had to go into it to call it Japanese, and then just because you were getting Japanese didn't mean that you were actually. It was about the cow. He said it should actually be a red cow, and that they often let these black cows into the mix. And it's not a real Wagyu. You might have to edit that one. I didn't even realize what I was saying because he told me. He told me that, and it didn't even dawn on me what he said until I said it.
You gotta leave it in there. It's great. We're literally talking about cows. Somebody's gonna be pissed about it.
Anyway, it wasn't real Wagyu. It was something. Point is that the dude had some good. I ate his meat, and it was great.
You know what makes Wagyu better? Ragu. You get you some Wagyu. It's the best.
So, like, I saved the names of two different. One was New York strip. Obviously I knew that, but the other meat I didn't know what it was, and so I saved it. And I was going to tell the kids because every time I cook up like a bunch of different meats, I'll kind of put like labels out so my kids know because I don't know why I'm dorky like that. I want them to know what they're eating, and so they see what they like.
Do they put ketchup on it?
No, nope. That's a sin at my house. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible.
The book of Jared.
Listen, you can take your butt on down to Longhorn or wherever you need to put ketchup on it. Like it's not at my house. But anyway, the one of them that I don't know what was absolutely amazing. It was one of my favorite cuts of meat, and he said, "You're going to like this." I talked to him a little bit about
camel,
different meats. No, it was still Wagyu, but it was a particular. It was the particular. Type, like ribeye, New York strip, but no, it was a name that I'd never heard.
Big fat cap on it? No?
Nope. No.
Wagyu,
He knew that I
while we're
liked
talking about
filet and that I wasn't a fan of like super, super high-end Wagyu, and he was like, "You're going to dig this."
So you've got, I don't know if this is the proper pronunciation, I call it picanha, which is filet in Brazil. So it's the Brazilian
That
filet.
sounds sexy. Brazilian filet.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And Brazilians do have nice butts.
But it's got a good fat cap on it.
And good waxes.
Yeah. And jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Yeah. Brazilians, they got some cool stuff.
Big booties.
So, anyway.
Booty.
At Arby's, they have Wagyu now, Wagyu sandwich.
No, they do not.
Yeah, they do. They have the meats.
Dude, they do not. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like Wagyu has now turned into like organic.
Beef jerky
like, you
Wagyu.
gotta have like
Was it
this
a
much
red
percentage of something.
It was a red cow.
I don't think it was a red cow.
It was red Angus or black Angus.
I've heard about this already.
Anyway. Well, look, I don't even know where we're going with this episode. We've had a good time talking about it. I've laughed more than I've ever laughed, and that's been awesome. Make sure if you're out there and you're watching right now, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you give us 5 stars, make sure you share it with your friends, make sure you get us a sponsorship so we can get more whiskey to give to y'all when you come to see us at Ride the Label. And then finally get Jen and Jared to redo your house, and then come to my wife to get your health and fitness on after you're drinking so much rye that you need a little extra workout. That's all I'm saying. Like, subscribe, share.com. We love you.
Nailed it.
Refine Life Podcast.